You are listening to Let's Go, the weekly anime podcast about weekly anime from Dynamite in the Brain and Secret of the Sailor Madness. So come along and hang with the Let's Go gang. It's Dwayne.
Hello, that clicking noise was my neck. It's supposed to make that noise.
Oh, I think mine's doing the same. It's Niall.
Oh yeah, here's my noise.
And it's me, Brian. And on this episode, we are covering anime that airs the week of August the 24th to August the 30th, 2024, starting with The Elusive Samurai, Episode 8, A War of Hide and Seek. After last week's episode, I went mad and read loads of the comic, so I cannot. I've lost track of what happened in this episode and what happened in the comic.
But you're all caught up, so you could just you describe it from what you read at the start of the comic to.
I've not got that, Matt. I think I've read everything that's going to be covered in this season because I now recognise everybody in the end credits.
Yeah.
Including my favourite character, who we'll get to a little bit later than I thought because they're missing a week.
We'll get to him though. Yeah, WTC is dead.
Yeah,
it's a long lineage of guys of characters with dots for eyes.
Yeah, so we're fighting the Fist of the North Star villains.
Here's all cool traps we laid for him.
Japan originated the Fist of the North Star villain, obviously. So it has historical precedent in random group of bandits. Well, they're not really bandits, actually. They're guys who
more like
take the opportunity. Yeah, mercenaries are guys who take the opportunity to do what they like.
Well, they point out these aren't irreverent, like kind of bandit guys who are actually like former samurai displaced by families, like getting killed off or getting thrown out or like that. But they kind of come together and they're a bit more skilled.
If your lord gets killed or whatever, you're still technically an army, and you can do a lot of fucking damage and make a lot of money. Is the thing, because most of them are professional soldiers. I assume the many of them who die in this thing were just random goons who they got in.
Yeah, when Fubiki comes out after the dude who has fucking like the face paint on, he's like, the crazy one. The Fubiki says you can drop like the kind of the sneering kind of like you're about to get got by Kenshin a bit, dude. I know what you are. And the guy's just like, so you found me out. Yeah, and he's like, oh, this guy's got some serious moves actually.
I meant to say with that guy, is he supposed to be is his face paint supposed to be 3D glasses? It was bugging me for ages. Like...
I thought it was the Tamiya logo.
Well, he's like Rorschach. You can infer anything out of it. It's just affecting yourself back at you.
Yes, because they're fighting the three fighting kids are fighting him and another guy, and meanwhile they've locked our hero in a shed with the villain.
Shokan.
But it's like it's the thing leading up to that where they're like Shokan standing on the hill with his boys. It's like, okay, we're gonna come in from the woods on the side, obviously, and the man's like, dude, that'll take ages. What are you talking about? It's like, well, the last two fucking groups we sent didn't come back, so they're dead because they took the main road into the village. If we come in by the woods, they'll have less traps. They obviously have a bunch of traps. The fact, and just a bunch of like him in the warfare getting shot from behind while coming down the hill is like, they're shooting us from behind, so we'll have to rush up the hill and we'll get picked off that fucking way. It's like they only do that kind of tactic is because they don't have enough guys, so we'll keep going down the hill despite the fact we're being shot at from above the hill. And it's just like he understands warfare. He understands like these are the tactics of someone without enough fucking forces to defend themselves. They have a couple of archers and a bunch of kids to dig traps. That's it.
But they know that he's going to know that, so that means they can also kind of lead his thinking on, and also kind of pray on his like greeters. He's like, saying, that young lad, he'll fetch like 1 mon, funny if he like worth this much in gold. Fun saying, but teach her a skill, she'd be actually worth a little bit more. Actually, she's like children and people as bags of money. He's like running these sacks with like yen signs on them running around.
He's not freaked out by the fact that it's an ambush, man. They were waiting for his man. He's more so it's like, how much money can I make off of every child I capture and sell into slavery here? It's like, and he's just adding it up. Like he's not perturbed by this. He's still in the business of raiding, basically. And just I like the simple old fashioned stuff of like freezing using the freezing river from the last episode, and it's like we blocked off the river so that it would flood at this part, so there'd be a bunch of ice that they'll have to cross as an army, which is a very easy way to pick them off. And then your man using a bridge of corpses of his own men to get across. I was just like, yeah, there's a there's a simplicity to the warfare, like very understandable, readable kind of stuff. Yeah.
Just practicality, yeah.
Yeah. Using what
You
you got.
suppose.
Be
Well,
that
it's
ice
using
or
like
corpses.
an effective use of armor, because it's just like, the helmet and stuff isn't just like, for flashing. It's like that's practical things. It's like, you're just kids and you got swords and you're pretty good with them, but it's your first time fighting someone seriously. He's like, showing off all of
your one kind of comes in to hit him with the sword, and she's very strong, but she is still, as is pointed out in this thing, a child, despite how strong she is for a child. And he's just like, I'm not even blocking that. I'm using my armor to do that work for me, and you're having to aim for the spots between my armor, which I can account for because I wear this professionally. This isn't a difficult thing for me. This is my day to day.
Yes, well, yes, that arrogance will prove his undoing by the very last moment of the episode.
Because he's so
also,
like confident and not scared of the situation that this is a trap set specifically for you. But
yes, there's some fun visual stuff because when he's explaining the hill stuff, it becomes like a shadow play when they're describing the progression from being samurai to bandits. We get live action ants. Saying like, this is what they do. This is the metaphor. This is why he's covered in ants.
Well, I assume, I assume it's the same tech as the CGI ants on his clothes, but it actually no, they're fully 3D rendered. This is just like the super limited one we put on his clothes, so it's not freaky altogether.
I get the impression that seeing as on a break next week, they were like trying to come up with some creative solutions to bridge in some of the scenes here.
Certainly more creative than some of the solutions in another show we'll talk about later. Which was
revered director Mamoru Oshii or anybody.
It's just like, here's some still pictures while we play the theme tune again. We'll get to that later. And I'll guess which of the shows he didn't watch did that.
But Kaneki looked pretty good this week.
So it's the thing of the two kids leading Shokan, the main general, into a shed where their boy awaits, and like just the kind of framing of that, where he's like, "Oh, I like the trap door kind of thing of it," and him being in the shed and going like, "Huh," and the kid there meditating in front of the Buddha and stuff, and it's like, hey, it's that religious iconography that you keep taking the piss out of. It's going to murder you now.
Yeah,
because they've worked out a move for a coward. It's the perfect move because he's like, hey, you're good at fighting and warfare and all that shit. It's just you have a bottomless stomach as your main fucking character flaw at the moment. So if you could teach me how to fight, and he's like, I got the perfect fucking move for you. It is the most kind and most cruel, just like the Buddha or herself.
Yeah. Like I probably the way he's dressing it up. I get more of the impression here too from since reading it that this is like a super cool move that's not for beginners at all. It's actually like a hidden technique. Don't tell anybody I taught it to you. It's just like no, so that's the kind of give Tokiyuki like okay, this is like super technique. He told me I could do it well. That's okay. I think kind of buoy him up a little bit more confidence. So because we're all lock you in a shed with a madman. So
fight to the death.
We're putting a lot of faith in you here.
Well,
and
just point out if you don't think you can beat him, you can just set the place on fire and escape through the roof.
Escape the roof because you're good at that. Plan. So don't worry. But like, just kick over. I've covered the floor in petrol. Like, don't worry about it. You'll be grand. But his retainer's running off. Is like, is he going to be okay? It's like we have to trust that he'll be okay because he needs to be able to survive on his own as well. And they have a bigger problem of they're a very good fighting kid and a very strong fighting kid fighting a grown-ass man who is quite strong. And it's just like, oh right, yeah. If there is a difference of, it's not even that he's a bad fighter or anything. His technique is, I am bigger than you, and therefore I am physically imposing to you two teenagers. And it's like, oh yeah, that is a problem they haven't had to really face so far.
Well, just gotta fight dirty.
Yes,
just gotta through this up to this point.
Yeah, so he takes the other guy away. He reveals that I am better than any of these guys. I'm just waiting for that other guy to die so I can take over. In the meantime, I'll just put myself in the background so I'm not at risk of getting killed.
I'll pretend to be a Fist of the North Star biker, but actually I'm more the fucking like the head honcho type guy. Yeah.
But turns out he's not impressed. And meanwhile, the other two are fighting the big lad who's the worst fighter. of the 3 featured villains, and then right.
Well, there
at the
was
end,
4, but he got taken out immediately, which is kind of great as well because he had a good design. He had the skull face looking thing. That was a good look.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Treasure Barrow, as he's of course named himself, is running around, and your guy thinks, "I know what you want me to do. You want me to get my sword stuck in the wall, but I don't. I just take my time. I got my armor. It's fine. You can't do anything to me in here."
And
he explains this after
he's
thrown away his big sword and he's just using the second. It's just like, I'm a professional. Bandits are very good at going into people's houses and murdering them, so I knew to do that immediately as soon as I was in this shed.
Yeah, it's a bit of a chase. We get the flashback, and then shit, my wrist's shooting blood everywhere. When did that happen?
Off screen, he has been mortally wounded. So we'll get to that. Not next week, but the week after because of shenanigans.
Do that.
Yes, so we'll get the super cool name for the attack next time.
No, we got it this week.
We got it this time, did we?
Demon Heart Buddha Blade.
He tells him the name. It's the Demon Heart Buddha Blade. I think again, like you're saying, Noel, to make him go, this is a pretty cool technique. Not that it isn't, but it's like, to really kind of like egg him on.
There's a very simple repeated motion to it. It's just like, if an amateur with a sword can do this move efficiently, consistently, and do a bit of damage, the key is it just does, you
have to be more willing to move backwards is the thing. And obviously a guy who's good at running away is very good at doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, having read a chunk of the comic, I think overall the anime is an improvement on the comic, even though it definitely is confusing me in that some events happen in a different order in the comic. But
yeah. I mean, that always freaking happens. But it's one of the examples, and not that the comic isn't good. It is.
No, it is good.
But that it's reordering things to make it work better for the show. It's coming up with really, it already has very good visuals in the comic, but it's coming up with really inventive visuals in the thing and variations on it.
Yeah, it feels like it's taking advantage.
It's better at horses.
The comic's better at horses, yes. That's true. We get some CG of people as well in this last episode. But what it has is it has more space to breathe than the comic does. The comic's got the structure of, I've only got X number of pages I'm allowed this week to do the comic. And that's what I need to get the story from A to B.
Yeah. Well, I was even saying that it has space, but also I got a better sense of the confines. Just when they get locked in the shed, it's some good claustrophobic angles in there that didn't get as much in the comic.
A lot of really close shots as well of them to show that the camera barely fits in this room on top of them. They've really thought through how to adapt it very well. Yeah.
Then Kinnikuman, Perfect Origin Arc, Episode 7, Clash of Chojin Ideologies, or as it says on Netflix, episode title.
Yes,
as it says on Netflix. Episode
also
7.
Serious title. This says main title when it gets to the fucking logo.
You see why I'm going to the end of the last episode, right?
Yes, I went this time. For that.
Yeah,
as well,
yeah.
So.
That's the truth.
I don't know what's gone wrong there. I assume somebody.
Netflix has had to count from 0 and it's freaking it out.
The Clash of Chojin Ideologies here is the difference between the 3 groups of Chojin. It's like the Justice Chojin.
The commentator's now calling it a 3-way fight because they're fighting for different reasons, so that's fair.
Yes, they want to fight as better standing with people, befriend them. The Perfect Chojin want to show they're the best Chojin.
They want to dominate.
Dominate. And the Akuma Chojin have been told by their mysterious leader to kill the Perfect Chojin because
we're just here to kill those guys. That's it. Nothing fancy.
Well, it's pointed out too a little bit that the Akuma Chojin they put on with a total heel act. But they got a code of honor, man. They're not like the fucking perfect ones who will just who will defeat, but also just completely outright humiliate you.
Yeah, and this is pointed out obviously, but sorry, go on.
And that's what's out with the main match, which is just like, who is the best dickhead fishman who creeps out the audience? That's a true battle of ideologies here.
We do get the end of the very end of the black hole and
oh yeah,
Dalmatian man thing where it's just like like, because you think, right, based off of how these kind of things go, it's like, oh, he's going to be like, no, Dalmatian man, I will jump on the spike for you, thereby saving your life. And it's like, no, the last episode wasn't fucking lying. He decapitates that fucking dog right on camera
Yes.
for all the
It's
whole audience to
fucking
see.
great. This is like, it's the same energy as fucking Golgor 13 headshotting the dude before he hits the ground and jumping out of the skyscraper.
The body hits the floor, and then there's a beat, and then the head hits the floor.
Like both cut off frame, but you know if the body ends here, the head ends in the fucking right, it's just like, that's not a test anymore. It's like, yeah, that dog is fucking dead. I don't think revealing my face underneath my mask is gonna save this fucking dog. I think he's done.
Like,
yeah,
so as we're children, we'll fight with support our eyes, but fuck those things.
And I mean, like, they're saying it's like, how could you do this, Black Hole? I'm kind of looking at him, it's like, he's covered in more than the regular amount of holes that he regular has. He's got just bloody wounds all the way down his body. It's just like, I think he's entitled to one murder.
Probably a little crazy by now, you know. He's just a lot of wounds to what is there of his head.
Yeah, when he says to the guys at the home audience of Buffalo Man and that kind of shit, he's just like, hey, I'm gonna fucking take a break. I did my job. Fucking throw up the horns. Peace out. I assume he just fucking fell over or sat the fuck down for a minute because they're like, Jesus Christ, someone call me a fucking ambulance.
He is warped into four-dimensional space with a four-dimensional hospital.
And then Terry Man's like, Buffalo Man, how can you allow this? We thought we were friends. And then we get the discussion of the ideologies. Then we check in on everybody else. But Kinnicky Man says, I told you, Terry Man, I trust these guys. And Buffalo Man gets a little look in his eye, like, oh,
yeah, we are friends.
Kinnicky Man. It trusts me. He's like, I think we need to sit down. We can't just stand up for the entire show.
Yeah, he's brought to his feet by excitement of being friends with Kinnicky Man, but he's like, no, I'm here to murder the perfect Trojan, and just that. That's the only reason I can.
Remember that cool match we had? He never gave up on me. You know, I remember, like, you know, we evoke like feeling it, but remembering the last time we fought this dude.
And then we get the book of the episode, which is Marlin Man versus Atlantis in the River Thames by Tower Bridge. Incredibly referenced locations because you can see everything there is on both sides of the river at that spot.
There's got to be enough tourist photos alone for them to fucking work.
Well, that is maximize footfall, so everyone can see.
Yeah.
Even though they're repulsed by seeing two slimy fishmen just going at it in the ring, it's like,
It's not that they're fishmen, Niall. It's the fact that they fight so fucking dirty. Oh, they're dirty in the Thames with their dirty fishmen fighting.
Fucking Atlantis just fucking hanging out in the water like a fucking punk. Get out of here.
It's specifically because Atlantis has been here before. And
yeah, Atlantis is a massive fucking heel known by the locale as, ooh, boo, that guy.
I won here last time. Kicked Robin Mass' ass like right in front of his hometown.
And that's why he's a locally hated celebrity, basically. Yeah.
And a lot of this match is Atlantis thinking back to that fight. And at various points realizing, oh, I'm the Robin Mask in this fight. I'm making all the same mistakes Robin Mask made.
And he's also going through like I learned a lot from that fight, including like the Akuma Chojin's version of friendship is really funny to me because, like, all right, remember when he cut my throat? It's like, yeah, that was my weak point. So I had all my friends come over and beat the shit out of my throat to build up like a calloused fucking throat. So now it's my strong point. It's the strongest point of my body now. So I'll never get my throat cut again.
Okay, this Marlin Man, I'll just stab you somewhere else.
Yeah, he's chained up in a cave. The fucking Akuma guy's like doing karate chops on his fucking throat and shit. And I was like, thank you, friends, for helping me in this time of need.
I feel like John Moxley could do this angle in AEW.
Yeah,
I just want somebody.
Fishman.
Yeah, somebody's get an injury, come back from the injury, and then explain how they've. Yes, you're going to go after my weak point, but while I was out, I was training that weak point, so then that's the strongest part of my body.
There was a guy in WWE back when it was still called WWF who had like an iron bar in his arm.
Yes, that was a heel.
Like Luger.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Like the little material he'd wear over it was like, oh, it's fallen off in the fight, or he'd purposely take it off to do extra damage with it. And it's like, no, if you have an iron bar in your fucking arm, it's like your arm is kind of fucked. Like, you should not be using it to elbow people in the face. That's a bad idea.
I usually it's just like there's just dead feeling, and it's like, I'm it'll hurt less if I use this elbow. Ultimately,
there's a couple of turning points. The first one is when Marlin Man insults Robin Mask.
How dare you insult that cool fight I had with that guy?
Well, I can talk shit about him. You can't.
Yeah,
that's the rules.
And then when small child who's told his dad to fuck off because I'm staying here to watch the
fight.
Come
on, son, come on, Peter, we're going home. And it's like, no, Dad, I
paid to see this.
No, you didn't. We were just walking by, and this fucking wrestling ring appeared in the middle of the river.
Me and those of the 4 people here in London who are interested in this fight.
It's pretty late. Like, I mean, that part of London, I've been around there. Like, there's hardly any fucking pubs open at night. There's no reason to fucking hang around. Like, you're just kind of like commuting. So
they're right next to a hotel, so most people will probably be watching from the hotel.
I mean, like, it's on every TV as well. That's the other fucking thing. So you can watch it.
Yes.
In multi-screen.
Yes. And then he cheers on Atlantis. That's all through that episode saying, I don't need the support of the crowds because we're a Doujin. We're heels. We don't need it.
He's dizzy from all the head wounds that he's gotten from a Marlin firing himself at him multiple times. The child's like, "Watch out, Atlantis, Atlantis, Atlantis," and this somehow echoes under fucking water, which is impressive for the child, I would say. I guess water carries further, or it carries sound further.
Yeah. Atlantis is probably a really good underwater hearing as well.
That's true, because they are saying like, "Which of us is the better fish man?" Come on, because you know they're heels because they keep fighting outside the ring, dirty fighting. Also, that river is filthy.
We're both fishermen. We're going to water. Like the previous match, we had a nice pristine lake. We put it on. This is in the middle of the Thames, and it's not very upper bit of it where it's kind of hasn't been so much stuff dumped into it yet.
But the cries of a child supporting him is the thing that causes him to realize it's like, wait, that fish is firing himself at me again. He's got like 2 moves. He fires himself at you with his big, long, spiky nose. He can turn that into a corkscrew, which is the ultimate underwater move somehow, he claims. Also, he can turn various fins on his body into buzzsaws, which is like very cool.
Yes.
He can also completely vomit up his swim bladder or whatever it was.
That's true. Yeah. His air bladder or something like that to block projectile spit from Atlantis. That was a gross scene.
I don't want to see how he trained to do that with all his friends. No, thank you.
No. Dear.
He's like doesn't move. He turns his.
He does.
His horn into
Robin Mask move,
spring. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tower of a Bridge. Yeah.
Yeah.
He
gets shot in the back.
Yeah, I think we have to wait till the next episode to see how it happens.
So
it's basically like, that's probably got him, right? It's like, no, he's coming up behind you. Watch out, Atlantis. He gets got in the back.
Like, is it gonna show up from a reverse shot and he actually has him in a headlock or something? You know,
he
might be fucking dead.
Like a real through and through there.
It did look pretty.
Yes.
Unless I meant for you to stab me there.
Now I have a house.
I think it's going to be one of these annoying Jujutsu Kaisen style things where it's like the first 5 minutes of the next episode and the end of this episode.
Again, because of that, I feel like you're supposed to like watch it and watch it and watch it and watch it. It's like, no, I'll watch it week to week. I'll watch it on Saturday morning.
It comes out week to week unless you want to wait a few more weeks.
And then you watch it all as a whole. Like, it's nearly made for the purpose of streaming, but it is coming out like week to week, like you said.
Yeah, next week's it says the description for next week's episode is as the crowd silently looks on at Atlantis impaled on Marlin Man's bill, a lone cheer of encouragement spurs Atlantis into pulling off a miracle. So we'll see what that is next week. But this is an amazing TV show.
Fuck off. It is great.
It's great. Fantastic.
It's fabulous. It's just it's feeling like it's a good fit for Netflix actually evolved is because even though it's been doing this kind of thing for years and years, and it's coming back now and it's all shiny there. It just feels like of a part with grappler Baki they have up on here, because that's also just like very ridiculous, very stupid. Like, man, you want to know how to communicate by fighting and wrestling and shit. Was always some ridiculous fucking moves for this thing, like based on the central principle. Actually, it's being employed here. It's really fitting that kind of at gap for me there.
Then next up, it is Mayadaka Punch episode 8, starring in Sumafest Extreme, in which we learn that our group of streamers are not the only messed up streamers out there. Because there's a couple more here.
I really liked how the live in-person streamer event, just everything goes to shit in it. And I was like, yeah, that feels really realistic, right? You know, like these motherfuckers are great at online shit. Running an event, fuck no, they don't have a fucking clue how to do that.
And this like some of them don't fit in like with what they're doing here. I guess there's all kinds of YouTubers, but it's like you can't get like a lot of these are entertainment based. This one's a singer, and these guys do comedy skits. Then you got a dude who's just like, well, he obviously is just like YouTube, like how to fix your radiator, plumber type of dude. But he happens to talk a lot of shit about politics while he's doing it, how to fucking change out the fucking new
people. Yeah, it's like they're going for wildly different markets. Like even the guy who's the chef, he just looks like a regular chef. It's just like, oh yeah, like one of those nice chefs you see on YouTube.
I guess you could just be good at fancy. That, yeah. But like, no, something has happened with this dude. It's just like he got invited to some YouTube team before and said, I just like do plumbing tips on YouTube. I haven't got any kind of like gimmick. Okay, but what if you could get one though? Like, I don't know, like you're like one of those like fucking podcaster type of guys from all talking shit about the government and shit. I could do that, yeah. Just lead into a bit.
So each of the Mayadaka Punch women are going to do a different collab in the first half. And in the second half, they're going to do an individual performance of a song, a brand new song. And then we're going to, as soon as they do the performance, we're going to upload a music video on our channel.
As soon as they said we're going to do the performance of the song, which is obvious that they're going to do, they're practicing dancing in the opening. But I was like, you're not like a music-based streamer anyway. Like, I guess it makes sense. You know, you got a bunch of girls, they can do it, dance and that kind of shit.
But it's like, but to do all sorts of things because their videos are going to vary wildly. We're going to do like stupid eating channel and shit. Also, it's going to have food that's like play a very soulful little ballad here. So. Like they'll try to handle
the music end of it. Yeah, they're not all the music end of it. It's just
I suppose when they get thrown around the most, because just be like, oh, but they're doing every event. It's this collaboration. It feels very centered around them.
Yes,
I mean, like, they're the biggest group there. I think is the other thing.
Yes, because I think the idea is they bring in an established. They're the newcomers, and they've got a whole bunch of established people who are going to collaborate with them. But who's going to do a music one? Ichiko's going to do a cooking one. Takage's going to do a comedy game show
game
type
one.
thing.
It's like a physical challenge kind of thing.
And then Fide's going to do a quiz show against this plumber.
No, he's with the plumber. He's on her team. That's why it's a multiple. Yeah.
I thought they were against each other because they're two separate podium.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Sorry. I thought they were put on a team together. My bad.
You will call it don't matter because of the scandal that breaks up.
No one remembered what happened in that, including me.
Plum Sound Logic. That's what he is. That's his name.
So, first of all, Foo's one goes wrong because she was looking forward to it because she was going to be collaborating with another singer and also what they call the Outdoor Kids. The two lads. She's a big
guys who wear bathwear and do skits.
Not the Backstreet Boys.
You're in the right.
Outside Boys.
Outside Kids. I think. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah,
so
they haven't shown
excited
up
to sing a song with them. Her fucking
idols. So she's disappointed, and then she gets stage fright. Because there's she's
disappointed. She's paired off with some rando that she's never heard of.
No, she's heard of her. No, this is also like, you know, if we haven't got your favorites, we've got your tied with second favorites. So I was like, oh my god, but she's also just flustered by even this that.
She's so impressed with her singing, and so like was like, oh my god, I've never done this in front of a gigantic audience of people before, and doesn't remember the entire performance, and probably didn't sing anything.
Yeah. Also, Yuki is here in the audience as she describes like a parent children's
She says that, but I see her bag full of fucking merch that she clearly bought on the fucking way in. So I'm just like, you're being supportive and you don't even know it.
Well, she's also standards and practices for them. She has
That's
to
true, yeah.
make sure this goes according to the script.
Yeah, I suspect
if I see any vampirism, I'm shutting this whole fucking thing down.
Yeah, I think that bag was just given to them by the sponsors because it's important to know for the plot that they're being sponsored by this vitamin drink.
That's true. Yeah. That is plot drink.
Yes, so that's how the first one goes wrong. The second one is Takage's, and hers is that she doesn't like any of the men she's having to do the contest with. They've all got weights attached to them, and they've got to try and do traffic lights.
Red light, green light.
Red light, green light, yeah.
Yeah.
To the famous streamer who's hosting the thing.
The king of streaming.
Then the outside kids show up in this thing because, hey, they really like to think outside the box. So they're not going to take part in the thing they were supposed to be taking part in. They've come into this without any weights. Take part in
this thing without the weights, so they're obviously going to win. You weren't just like, oh, vampirism, super strength.
Yeah, she just super strengths it and touches his back, and they instantly fall in love with her because she's even more unpredictable than they are. And they both
despite the fact that she has won this and displayed an amount of plausible deniable vampirism, so everything's went fine, but a bunch of creepy guys came on to her and she's like, don't like this, I'm having a bad time.
Well, but they're creepy, you know, they seem kind of just kind of vulnerable.
They're creepy to her. That's the point.
Yeah. She mentions that these are exactly the sort of guys I try and keep away from.
Yeah.
That Fu was just like rending her garments. No, that should have been me. It should have been me.
Well, that's also what the woman sat next to Yuki is doing. And then she runs off somewhere in fury. Then Ichiko's thing goes wrong because she wanders off to get different ingredients because there isn't the ingredients. Because is it because she's misread the
instructions kanji for making fried rice?
It was like she was supposed to use almond milk, but she was like, "Oh, milk! I'll go down to the shop and grab some milk." It's just like, no, like you, and also like as you one point out, like, I would have went to get it.
Almond milk. She comes back with
you're right. Yeah,
because that becomes sort of important later on when they're trying to then cure what's gone wrong in the fourth and final part. Is because Levi has drunk the vitamin drink, and it turns out it had got garlic extract in it, and so of course she's drunk. And they have to try and hide the fact that she's a vampire during the quiz, which turns out to be a lot easier due to the aforementioned scandal involving the plumber.
There's some really, I mean, there's a lot of fun animation in general, but there's some really fun bits where, you know, she's attaching like a hook to her back and they're getting the other one to turn into a bat and hold her down. So even if she does take off into the air, she'll be attached by a wire, clearly visible, and everyone would be like, oh, they're doing like a little fucking bit. And it's like, that's grand. But it's like, no one's paying attention to that because there's a fucking scandal happening on stage right now where your man is responding to every question, which is like, I apologize profusely. Please don't fuck me up. Oh, don't unsubscribe. Like, because he's been caught cheating, I think is the scandal.
It is, yes. He's having an affair. And then we get the fun bit where all the girls go, oh, it went so terribly. And the Ichiko says this, and they all point out, no, Ichiko, everybody liked your bits. Even though you messed it up, it was still a great segment.
It was somewhat endearing. It's just she goes like, oh, I'm so silly.
She went to the shop. She made the wrong recipe because she misread it because she's a precocious child. And I'm like, yeah, that's good. That makes people go like, I want to check out this precocious child channel. Yeah.
Yes. So they mix the two things they cooked to cure Levi of her garlic drunkenness, and they just right, we're gonna fix this in the second half. We'll do a performance. Everyone will love us. It'll be fine.
And the other thing is like the main streamer hosting it does come in and is like and apologizes to them. It's not their show. It's his show, but he's kind of like, sorry guys, everything's getting really fucked up here. Like I cannot help it.
It's the usual Masaki thing where she's got the blinkers on everything to do with Mayonaka Punch. Is she doesn't spot the things going wrong with everybody else.
They look great in this. They are the most professional ones, including the one who arrived on stage drunk. They look great. They've come out smelling of roses out of this whole situation for sure.
It does feel as well like, you know, while this was like the king of streamers that was organizing it, it does feel like, yeah, but maybe he doesn't have the head for it and probably should hand off some sort of people because it is having a lot of this like first time convention amateur sort of like slip ups happening all over the place.
Because they do mention that
Yes.
it is a rundown stadium that they're putting it in, and that is obviously relevant when the fucking power goes out
Power
before
goes
their
out,
big
yeah.
music number, and it's like, well, shit. We need to fix that problem. Wait a minute. If the power's gone out, and if it's caused the plumbing in the thing, we have a disgraced plumber we could ask for help. I'll go get that fucker.
But it turns out not to be due to the plumbing. It turns out to be due to the fan, who was incredibly mad that the outside kids had declared their love to Takage, and she has pulled the plug on the power and is now hidden under the first aid ambulance.
Yeah, so it's a thing of Mayonaka Punch have come together with obviously your lead vampire kind of going like, we'll do the performance, we'll perform like, you know, like a cappella kind of thing. We have like a couple of phones playing the backing track kind of thing, just to barely get it out, and we'll do it like mostly in the dark. We'll get it going. Don't worry, we trust our fucking manager to fix it in the end. We'll just keep the show going, because they're like, we're gonna have to cancel the show. The power's out.
Yep, she's getting to work on that. She's getting to work on punching this woman in the face.
Yes. Oh,
The
yeah.
contrast
Also,
between
Yuki's
them-
there
it out.
Yeah.
because she's drunk as well, because she also drank the vitamin supplements.
Hmm.
And she's taking a photo. I'm assuming the photo she takes of her punching the
Yes.
fan in the face is going to come back later.
Because punching is a thing that got her cancelled in the first place. Like, she is barely
Yes.
recognized sometimes. Like, isn't that disgraced fucking thing from the Hype Sisters, I think was her channel. And she's like trying to hang in the background, which is a lot of this as well, like her doing offstage stuff, her organizing it. And but the contrast between the Mayonaka Punch doing the song, like the lights kind of coming up and the show coming to life, and even the water main breaking due to that shitty fucking
Pipes
plumber
burst,
breaking,
get a
but it looks
rainbow.
great for the show. And contrasted that with her fighting some woman in the parking lot. It's just like, fucking hell, that's so good.
But she's like, you know, she's been like in a flap, like, you know, really trying to keep this one thing going for him. And it's just like she kind of comes up, she's been one all muddied up and bruised and everything, but they're on stage, you know, it's on there, and it's just kind of just face drops. It's just like, no, it's just kept thinking, you thought you quite one step back from the scene to this time, to sort of like pushing somebody else. We're thinking, now you're saying you never really got something like this where that was you on the stage, did you?
There's such good framing for that as well, like where it's not like having her state that, it's just showing her feet in the off stage, like in the dark, like where you can see the lights of the stage, like just cutting her off, and it's like you can see that she wants to step into that, but it's just implying all of that, like very well staged. Yeah,
and also because it's the people who did your boy Kobe. No CG idol dolls here for this musical performance. It's all proper animation.
Yeah.
No sudden changing character design because we've got to do a song.
Like I don't mind using CG for that, like for choreograph things. That's a difficult thing to animate.
When you have to do it every single episode for a show, it makes efficiency sense. But
they did a lot of it in stills where they're cutting back to Masaki fighting this woman in the basement. So that's kind of pushing over. I thought this was a good one overall, because you're saying, like, you know, this was a great success for us, but it's still this, like, you know, already this lingering down. A lot of it's Masaki as well. You can see her tendency to always fucking presume the worst about the situation or about herself. That's kind of compounded because she seemed like, they're making some headway. I guess they've made their subscriber count now. It seemed to be celebrating keeping the house next week. This was like a lot of things just kind of colliding together, and it just reminds me so much of experiences where online communities try and have a real life event and doesn't quite come off. They had to confront, like, you know, it's not as easy as just fucking reposting something. You gotta book stuff, you gotta pay people, you have to get things arranged into books in order.
Actually, the electronics arcade, like, have security, like that kind of thing. Like it you're right, now.
Insurance.
Despite the fact that it's like, you know, an anime about vampires and shit, it is a good depiction of the streamer kind of experience of this. It's like, you guys can't run an in-person event because you're not experienced doing that, and it's not even our guys doing it. It's like other guys, and like even have the idents of all the new streamers that introduce, and it's like a rough description of them and their channel and that kind of shit. I was like, I love all this because it feels bigger for it, but like they can't run a fucking event.
Because it's not explained, but I think we only see like 3 support staff for the entire event.
Yeah, it's more so the
episode.
streamers they got in, not the fucking staff to run the fucking thing. Yeah.
It's a very fun show. And next up is Chibi Godzilla episode 21 of season 2, Mecha Godzilla Shooting. Mecha Godzilla has made a shooting game, and luckily it's an old school side-on scrolling shooter. So
we can use like heavily pixelized official art of Godzilla monsters to get away with all the design.
And who's the monster who they play as an old man? That's it. Yeah. He's excited.
Hedor's there to be like, oh, fucking classic game. Like he's like, real games are like in the arcades and shit, not like in modern things. Like, no, I made a classic pixelated side-scrolling shooter. He's like, fuck, I can do one of those. And it's like, he cannot. He is the old man. And I love his outdated language that is never consistent every time he says something. He says faux shizzle, which is just wonderful. I never thought I'd hear Hedora say that. It's great. Great stuff.
Yes. Yeah, and he's obviously constantly blaming the game for his inability.
It's obviously broken. The controller. I got the bad controller. Give me the good one. Yeah.
Yeah, but also, if you lose all your lives, it loops back around and you start getting more lives again.
Because Mechagodzilla does not want to lose to Godzilla in this fucking game that he made. Fuck that.
It's very fun if you're an old man like Hedora, like I am.
You're an old smog master.
Yeah, to vaguely recognize some of these pixelated monster designs that they come up with. Then we get My Dear Friend Nokatan, episode 9, Get the Sports Festival Done, in which the first half of the episode is everything up to lunchtime, and the second half of the episode is everything after lunchtime, with a bit in the
when
middle.
It goes to like the halfway point, and it was just like, and she's like, the commercial's starting. Oh my God, we're only done all the morning shit. And I was like, that's a pretty good joke, and also true. How are you going to handle the rest of the sports day?
And there's a bit in the middle where it's just a whole load of still pictures while they played the theme song again. The best bit about this is it's a way to bring all the characters they've introduced so far into the series into one spot.
And they're all there doing various things on the day. Yeah.
Just the coffee. He's doing the family run. The guy who runs the coffee shop, because he's the big brother of the serious member of the student council. Who I also read
impresses his little sister by being good at the race, but like the idea that, is that an old lady? Is that an actual fucking deer? I was like, I don't think they should. Like, again, he's the normal guy in that race, and we can have different straight men depending on the situation, because, like you say, all the characters in one place.
Yeah. But as let's say with last week, because it's kind of 2 segments in one episode, it's not as fast paced, and it's definitely saving itself some time with a bit in the middle. But the fun stuff in there is just stretched out a bit too much.
Yes,
for my taste.
Definitely.
But I did see a review of the comic, which they pointed out that they've really turned down the horny in the cartoon.
But it's like antlers. That's like the main joke.
Not that sort of horny, Wayne. But now I know that's the case. I can now see the remnants of it in the TV show.
It's like negative space.
It is, yeah.
There was a thing of like when the Nokatan comes out for another fucking deer parade to slow down the goddamn proceedings, and she's like posing for the cameras and doing all like kind of like model poses, yes. And I was like, that seems out of character. But now that you've told me that, I was like, oh, that's not out of character. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, stay out of character for the cartoon version of it. But yeah, and like I say, it's got some very good bits in it, but I like it when there's more bits, i.e. they've found another story to the episode. But yeah, it's good. The Tsukinoko back, gets used as a ball.
In the beanbag toss, yeah.
The return of blowing things up at school. There's like a Was it? It's supposed to be. I can't remember what sort of race it's supposed to be, but it's the part of the race is you have to defuse a bomb made of antlers.
It's definitely changed from its original kind of thing. Yeah. A stick of antlers rather than sticks of dynamite. It kind of I like again, like you said, there's good bits. It culminating in her taking Nakatan to the roof of the fucking building and pretty much threatening to fucking murder her then and there and revealing her true nature. And everyone is like, wow, the president's so brave for pulling this shit together. And it's just like, wait, I reveal my fucking true nature and I've been hiding it all this time and you're fine with it? Everyone's fine with it? 3 years I've been doing this. But,
Yeah, the other problem, which is not unique to Nakatan, is that my only context for Japanese school sports festivals are other comedy anime mocking Japanese sports festival.
Because I don't think serious anime does like the sports festival. The sports festival is a mockable thing and is therefore in the comedies. Yeah.
I think like a part of one of the Essence Manga Dio is just like that's always like my text for that one thing. That was like a long volume I felt nearly.
Yes, I think it was. I think that was a full episode, maybe multiple episodes.
It was definitely full. It was definitely like an end full episode of this series. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Actually, also did it multiple times. So.
But Azumanga Daioh is for old men who would be most familiar with the sports day because that's the day they got to go. So they have to like big up.
Their cartoon also dialed down the horny a lot.
Yeah. I think it's about the same from what I remember. I've read the comic and I've seen the cartoon. I think it's about the same.
I can't remember too much about the cartoon now. I've like my brain has like expunged it for me. I just remembered all the jokes. I am a bird.
No, mine would have been Euroscience Zero first encountering the Japanese sports festival, and the particular sorts of like the race with the bread dangling down. Because in this, it's a series of items which get further and further away from being bread as they're because this is the race that they make all the adults do.
Because it's ridiculous to ask an adult to do this a series of increasingly less food items, I guess.
I mean, it's the same sort of thing, but these are all things similar. The similar things I did at school. This was in primary school. I did it. Not at the end of my time in secondary school.
It's weird that it's in high school. That's the kind of thing. Because even that dangling bread thing, it was reminding me of like. And again, I'm an old man talking here. I assume no child has done this in the fucking present. Like at Halloween, you did like the hanging apple or the. You have the bottle of the basin of water, and you're trying to get stuff out with your hands behind your back.
They do have regular like athletic events as well. There's also ones for. Well, if you're shit at running, we have bread eating for you. You should be good at that.
Yes.
How about that, fatty?
I mean, and to be fair to this one, this is the adults. This is like making the adults do the three-legged race.
And especially making them do something ridiculous, which is fun for the kids. It's like seeing mom and dad do something fucking weird. Yeah.
I doing something which humiliates them, which means that it tempers the ultra-competitive parent who wants to win the race.
And it's like there's no real prizes. It's just a fun sports day. It's an event to hang out with your family and, like do nice things. So I guess that's why it fits in comedy a lot as well. But that's thematically,
it's fine because, luckily there's another comedy coming up where I know pretty much every single reference it's making. We'll get to that shortly. Before that, we've got Sengoku Yoku, episode 20. I really should go back and watch the first season of this because fucking hell, I love this show now.
Yeah, we were telling you, we were fucking describing the shit that was happening, and you didn't fucking believe us. No, I'm joking.
But genuinely, it is like this is like the last few, including this one. It's like it's fucking in gears going up, right up the gears now.
Yes.
Really,
it's like every question I had last episode pretty much answers this episode. As we get answered what the Void people are, because they're told stop talking in that voice, talk in a voice so all these monsters here can hear, and also the audience at home.
Excuse me.
It's just like it really it does a great job of just not only, like you said, not powering fucking through this shit, like no fucking brakes on this thing, but not in a way that's unsatisfying as well. That's the other thing. It doesn't feel like it's rushing. It just feels like, unlike Nakatan, it's kind of like it is not stretching anything out. It's not making anything stay longer than it fucking needs
Well,
to.
it knows. I think it's got some great timing once in. Okay, now get to the good bit, and then we get to the good bit, and it's like, yeah, we're in it now. And then you get habituated with that, and then it's just you're thinking, okay, yeah, it's pretty good now, boys. I can see, it's going to be a good bit conceded, and then just you think, oh, we go for getting the good bit now. It just lands in it, and it's just he knows. Yeah. This great idea of your expectations as a reader or a watcher, like it's just like when to here's something else now to come in.
Yeah.
I did see someone mention that this is a rare one where he didn't plan out the story beforehand, so he didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Necessarily know where he was going as it went along.
I know, but he's got a great fucking this natural sense for it in any case.
Yes.
And even the thing of like where I think that happens in the second half of the episode, like is seated at the very start where it's like, oh, I'm in a snowstorm. I must be remembering my youth, or perhaps my youth is remembering me. That kind of thing. It's like, oh, yes. I see what you're doing. So you're not disappointed by what happens in the second half.
Yes,
it's a good way to do it. Yeah.
But is this a dream I'm having as a child, or is this a dream I'm having in the future of me as a child having a dream of me now?
What? Yeah.
But yeah,
I just taught some guys who existed outside time. Everything's on the table here. Like, and then the other dude who's one the Shogun, Ashikaga Yoshiteru, he's able to cut through time. So it's a concept that's going to really garbled up for me lately.
Yes, because they're all getting ready to head out, and then Hanatora breaks it to Shinsuke that. Yeah, you can't leave because I've kind of turned you into a regional god, so you've got to stay here in town now.
The fact that the episode's called "The End of the Journey" or whatever, end of a journey, and then like he's like, well, I guess we're going on the road again, kids. Are like, oh wow, we're going to continue on adventures, and the gods out of pot is like, nope, you're all stuck here because of magic. Sorry, I should have explained that earlier. That's how I teleported everyone in the village here. And he's like, but they're all here now, so we can leave. It's like, no, you're like attached to here. So you're stuck here specifically.
Hey, fucking, this is what Ashikaga fucking signed up for us. We want to put you in. He wanted you to get away because you needed to do this for him.
And she says you're like a regional god with none of the powers. That's important. You do have you're the most impotent in this fucking whole show as usual. That's important.
Just gotta stay here. Yeah, it's like, is that how it goes? It's like, like how long will this take? Probably sort it out in 10 years or so. It's like 10, 14 years. Things like, what?
I'm just arguing with the god and shaking the pot that she's decided to sequester herself in, and she's just like, hey, stop shaking the pot, and the kid's kind of going like, okay, so I guess we should go through a training arc, like off camera. It's like, is that cool with everyone? It's like, yeah, we could go for that.
Yeah.
Before we get a chance, here comes the Void Tribe.
They're here now. They're hanging out.
Use this sword because you're the only one who can use it. Because turns out it's the soul of the Shogun turned into a sword.
I forged his soul into a sword that he can say affirmative things to you.
He can talk to you. Yeah, it says nice things to give you confidence.
That's the best fucking magic sword I've ever fucking heard of. It's just like a sword of a guy who I like saying nice things about me as I'm fucking swinging him around.
It's not better than Shinsuke's ones where he's put his dissociative personality into it and tells him what a little punk he is. He's going to kill him.
And I was like, you could totally do this. I have faith in you. I was just like, oh wow, thanks, sword. This feels great. Also, because it's the guy who can cut through time, it can absolutely fuck up someone who exists out of fucking time. And is it at that point where they pull him into their world?
Then he pulls them into his world.
Into his world with all the boys. And them doing the mutter thing is like, fucking speaking normal fucking talk so all my boys, all my 1,000 guys can hear you. That's right. It's, what was it? There's 5 of you, but there's 1,002 of him because it's him and the sword, I think, isn't it?
Oh, that's what he got the sword as well, yes.
Yeah.
Let's get him.
Yeah, so they're shocked that they've all got silver hair like he's got. They've got fairy eyes like Jinta's got. They are their ancestors, and they have come to the future to save the world in the past.
they're doomed unless they change the future because of reasons. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. It's like, you know, has anyone ever done that? You know, we've gone back in the past to change the future. Because
And even the thing of like, we exist outside of time because we've come to the future to save ourselves from being doomed on the line. You're a descendant of us, actually, and I was like, so you have to do something to him to save him because he's your descendant, and that will.
Or they've got to bring them both back to the past.
Yeah, something like that. But I do appreciate it's like, I got a fucking magic sword and 1,000 fucking guys to kick your ass, and like 3 of the 5 are like, peace, and they just fucking leave.
Yes.
You're on your own.
And the other 2 are like, oh, what the fuck? Like, it's that's
so 3 votes here for say we leave. Okay, we're gonna go. What?
Ass kicked by 1,000 fucking monsters. That makes sense. Yeah. 1,002.
Why if one brought in that last 2 now? We got to create a fucking team. We got deadlocks. The deadlocks always work against us. There's always you and me left holding the bag.
Yeah.
So the 2 who are still here, sort of threaten that they'll run into them in the future, get a vision of Jinta, and then we get Senya and Tsukiko asking Hanatora to train them. And in return, you can have these. They pull some little
random shit out of their pocket.
Yeah, this in the pocket.
Yeah,
I don't want that shit.
I'll figure out what I'll take as payment later. I'll do the trading now.
It's a terrible deal. Don't fucking do that.
No.
But what would you do to get really, really good at fighting real quick? Or, well, at least in 8 years.
Not quick, yeah.
Well, 8 years, but that was like, they were giving like 15 to 20 years before, so.
Yeah,
this
was like a significant, like, so you're not like, oh man, it's 8 years later. It's like, whoa, it could have been 20 years later, audience. Don't fucking panic. Like, you know, so you can't complain. This is an improvement over the original estimate.
Yep.
Like poor Zanzo over there, he's really felt this. He had a hard 8 years, like, you know, getting hitched and raising a family.
I think the kids have really fucking worn him the fuck down. It's the idea he's kind of going like, the guy said, Dad, over here, Dad. It's like, yes.
Hi, son.
Hello, 8-year-old son.
But he also does look happier than he would have been just being a wandering swordsman.
That's the other fucking thing. Like, yeah, because we do see him like practicing. It's like, I hope I meet your dad again as he's practicing swordplay. It's like, you're gonna fight a dragon? Like, that's not a good plan.
But we were poor and miserable, but we were happy.
Yeah, and we're stuck here. But we're happy.
Let us demonstrate how badass our 2 new main characters are by beating up some bandits and making them sign a contract.
They're an improvement over the original, like, siblings for world peace kind of thing, because they make you fucking sign legal documentation that says you can't be a bandit anymore.
And the guy system, you know, like they just kind of take their swords, so they don't use them, and then they kind of, I suppose we kind of really count on the innkeeper to keep his circulation when we get them. But I suppose, you know, it's being sold back onto the legal market, so it won't find its way into legal hands again. That's how we solve the gun problem. I mean, the sword problem.
Yeah. And then you get room and board at the inn for the price of the swords that you just took off those bandits that are legally no longer bandits. And then the innkeeper like, hey, do you guys fight monsters? Because we got a monster. Like, we
like, oh, Jesus. I guess they've got a look when they come in. It's just like, you know, hey, this is, you know.
2 young badass heroes rolled up into town. It's like, oh, fucking brilliant. We got something you guys could be right the job for. And now doing most of the negotiation was like, give me a fish and I'll fucking think about it.
I was like his manner, like, you know, it's just like, oh, like, I know it's 3 swords worth, but I'm giving you a pretty good deal here, you know, it'll be a good favor. Like, I'm really sorry to put this. It's like, you're sorry, but you're still asking. So
yeah. And now accepting the deal of, if you bring me a cooked fish, we will do it. And it's like, well, now we have to do it legally. Like, we're an official accredited organization, essentially. We do everything by the book and use contracts and everything. Well, our no longer girl is getting a little drunk. She's getting buzzed. She's not getting like wasted. Yes. She's sipping.
Now is worried though that she's going to turn into another Shinsuke.
Because she's a swordsman and she likes a little bit of drink. A little bit.
Yeah. He came out okay, and I think she could be better. Probably is better at swordplay than he is anyway.
Yeah.
And yeah, it turns out the monster is Targo.
It's the green bean man.
He's been cursed by the looks of things, and they removed the curse from him. And he doesn't seem to know how long he's been cursed, but apparently Mudo is off learning human martial arts.
Is he going to come back a boxer? Oh, I'd like that. That would be nice. Dear.
Yeah, and then they run into Tama, and they're expecting Jinta to appear today.
Yep, under the horizon, the massive roiling of the ocean. That's probably him.
It's the day of doom based off the calendar. I did check my dates, and it's like, yeah, it's grand. But I did appreciate them going like, wow, you guys are growing up like. You guys are growing up like bamboo kind of thing, and them going like, yeah, but I mean, like you only check in on the village once or twice. So they establish like they have seen her in the meantime.
Yes.
Shit has happened in the last 8 years, basically. We didn't just skip.
Yeah, I just felt it. Well, it's obviously is a more significant jump, but when we kind of opened up at the very, very beginning of this year, I thought, and obviously a bit of time has passed. Has it been a couple of years? Like Shinsuke is like, there's a it was about like
3 months,
half a year to a year. That's kind of time for wrapping it. Okay, it hasn't been that long. Wow.
Yeah, it's been a crazy short time. The other thing I like in showing the difference of it, like the first half of the episode 8 years ago, was where he says to his 1,000 guys, like, it's like, all right, you guys are in my mind palace now, so you can take on whatever form you think is the strongest form you can think of, and we'll fight these 5 mysterious strangers. And they all turn into him, and I was just like, oh guys, that's really cool. That's really nice of you. But then later on in the episode, they're all egging him on. It's like, yeah, he hasn't met a move on her yet. Yeah, that's why he looks like a kid. Come on, man, she's into you, go for it. They're all egging him on because they're just comfortable with him now. They revered him as a hero, but now they're just like hanging out like he's 1,000 friends, which is great.
Yeah, it's a cracking show. Then finally, Dungeon People, episode 8, remodeling and employment, in which they're going to take out one level of the dungeon and put in a new level of the dungeon, as we want to do in this dungeon every so often.
Right.
Got to shake it up a little, At that level 5 is kind of like everyone's been through it a few times.
Dungeon Property Brothers, like knock out this main wall, go for an open plan. Kind of look to this.
Well,
flip this bitch.
They get Clay to design it, and
because you'll know the business a little if we get you involved in it on this stage. So Clay's thinking about all the things that she hates to see in a dungeon, and is trying to put all of those into level 5. And they're explaining I like that they're going through the thing. I was like, okay, you made the walls too thin here, and I was like, because you tried to pack too much in, and it's like, we need the golems to be able to go like through the walls to deliver, redistribute the chests, that kind of thing, and that kind of thing. And it's like, I like the simplicity of that, and also they're going like, don't do too many traps in the halls, because like the monsters will also fall into those because they patrol the halls. You can put them in the chests, in the doors, that kind of thing. But and even then, the monsters sometimes will also go like, oh, what'll happen if I open the chest though? Because they've no fear of death. They're AI avatars of themselves being controlled remotely. They don't mind.
Some of them are. Some of the monsters
some of them are there officially, and some of them are undead. So I'm not sure what the rules are on that.
They love the danger of it all.
Yeah,
but when they first see plays, they go, "Oh, it's almost like a city plan," which felt like a dig on modern dungeon maps. Because once they correct all their errors, it looks like an old school D&D map again.
Yeah. It's spaced correctly. Like you've thought too much about city planning.
Should a dungeon have this many roundabouts in it? I think we're just kind of papering over the issue here.
It's like, why aren't there any toilets in the dungeon? It's like, because no adventurer is going to search the toilet for loot, because who cares? That's not important to the purpose of a dungeon. It's fine.
Yes, there's also jokes about how their dungeon isn't very dungeon-like, so they have to like apply like a, what do they call it, a staging to it, to make it look like a dungeon.
Doing an open dungeon, invite prospective monsters in. It's like,
so
have a pamphlet, have a biscuit.
Clay's considering like the layout of the dungeon, which is why I picked the background of like the dungeon corridors. He's like, okay, so it's always like like mid lighting at all stages, but you can only see so far down the corridor, and it's like, what's the reasoning for that? And everyone's kind of like, staging. And it's just like, what? It's like, yeah, so you can only see so fucking far. You got like X amount of feet ahead of you, that kind of thing. It's all about the look of the thing, because otherwise it'd just be like a cave in the ground, and we can't be having that. Like,
yes, and she's like, Belle's like, okay, Clay, if you think of anything else which would make it more dungeon-like, don't be afraid to mention it. And then she's like, Clay's going in her head, going, well, the main thing is that the dungeon boss looks like you. You look like a small
you
girl.
don't look like the final boss. Like that.
There's something about this. We're gonna remodel you.
Herself.
You're badass, but you're not intimidating. Like, yeah.
Then they get into like the in-world explanation of how they're going to replace a level in the dungeon. It involves going to speak to some very horny elementals.
They're going to talk directly to. These aren't spirits. These are the spirits that those things are like offshoots of. This is the spirit of light. He will light the dungeon. This is the spirit of fire. I don't know. We could put him in a trap or something like that. That'd be fine. But you have to like negotiate terms with these guys basically to do the main bulk of the work. She could do it herself, but it just take too long. Yeah, the heart of the dungeon, like this, and again, when they walk by, it's like, okay, so I just need to put in like my magical power to open this door, and then they go into it, and I was like, this is technology. All of this is like fucking tech and shit. Because it's like a big metal door that looks very strange and alien to Clay. Yeah.
Yes, because they go through all this experience, they deal with the spirits, they come back, and then basically it's just Belle going to put the two levels in. And then Rangado, they go into the level and they explain it. We've got to make it look like a dungeon now. So Rangado has this magic hammer, which when he hits the dungeon, it then turns into what's on the background of Niall's Skype screen.
All epic and nice and stuff. The way he explains, it's like, how does the magic hammer work? It's like, oh, my magic hammer works like this. When I hit something with it, it turns into what I wanted to turn into. And I was like, that sounds very powerful. So it's like, yeah, but make it look like bricks, make it look like a wall, put in the door frames, that kind of thing. All that, those fucking, like the reason, and he didn't want to go, and the elementals were kind of like, does that dwarf around? Is because they're constantly arguing about design, is apparently the thing. The elements have no sense of design, and he's very concerned with that.
So they get all this set up. This is the bulk of the episode.
Yeah.
Is all the building of the dungeon, laying the traps, putting everything out. And
then at the end, ages, man. Yeah.
And then at the end is a queue of monsters picking numbers out of a box to find out which room they're going in.
Yeah, which corridor are you patrolling? It's like, oh, we're fucking together. Would you want to do that team up attack we were talking about? It's like, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. It's like, hey, no switching numbers, you guys. Come on.
I hope it's close to a toilet.
Yeah, it's the monsters behaving like school children, learning what class they're in for the year. Is very funny, but also it's the very funny joke of, right, I've designed the dungeon, everything's laid out, just roll some random dice to put monsters in.
Yeah. I sure hope I don't want a griffin in here. That's going to throw off the fun game balance entirely, but whoops.
Yeah, just the random fucking monster generators, or like random generators are great, but like I like to use them beforehand and then kind of go like, it doesn't make sense to put a griffin in this corridor. That's more for like an area where he could fly around and shit. Like, be sensible about it. They also explained that the slimes aren't
toilet griffin.
Yeah, the slimes aren't intelligent for one.
Oh yes,
but also they're like an offshoot of the main slime.
Essentially, the ecology of the slime article from the Dragon magazine. So yes, we got more time spent on the slimes and how they work than putting monsters in the dungeon.
There's so little thought put into the monsters. It's a good joke and true to a lot of prep.
Yeah. Because it depends what sort of players you got. The players a lot of the players I've played with would not notice that, or they would find it funny that a monster was in a place that you wouldn't expect to find it because it was just happened to be put there randomly. Or when you roll the treasure and you like, how did that monster have that piece of treasure on it? And then you have to come up with something as to how did that monster have that piece of treasure on it?
Why does this random beast have 40 gold?
Yes.
Did he eat it? Did I gut him and take it out of his stomach? Why did he eat 40 gold? Why after the first few gold was like, I'm not eating any more gold. I'm fucking sick of this shit.
I don't know. Rats got to be able to paper stuff as well.
It
was a very comic. It was like really hard puzzle game. It was like it's a puzzle game. You like match and stuff like that. You're playing against the computer, but it's a kind of fancy thing. So you're going into dungeons now and fighting a rat. And the way you fight a rat is like the rats deceive you for the puzzle. That's it. Yeah.
Puzzle Quest. Yeah, that was a pretty good matching tile game. I think it was. Yeah.
It was like, rats, if asked you for a minute, it's like scream, and it was like settle down.
I got to line up
board,
3 greens to reduce its HP. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you ever played the Dungeons and Dragons Adventure Isle of Dread, be sure to cut every steak open because there's one of them's got a giant ruby inside it.
Spoilers.
Nowadays.
When I was playing it, I cut the steak open and there was a gem inside it. And then from then on, whenever we were playing D&D, we would cut every monster open just in case there was treasure inside it.
Like you have to bring all right, I got my warhammer. All right, I got my axe. All right, I got my saw. Why do you have a saw? It's like that's for later. That'll come in.
Consider the mimic. If there is a monster that looks like a treasure chest, then treasure looks like a monster. So we have to make sure. We're just going to be a reverse mimic.
Even in the dungeon people thing, like the fact that when you kill a monster, the body, unless they're a real monster, like disappears and like a gem falls out, like a fucking video game. Like they turn into coins, like in Scott Pilgrim kind of shit. It's just like, that's good. They have an in-universe explanation where it's like, why did I get treasure out of that goblin? It's like, because he turned into treasure when he died.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's might be my favorite episode so far, just because of the it's relatable stuff if you play D&D, particularly if you've been a dungeon master, and then the very long lead up to the gag with the monsters at the end of like even the title saying having the 2 separate titles make you think it's going to be they're going to have equal time in the episode. But no, employment's just like a tiny bit at the end.
The designing of the monsters is not the concern of this show and some DMs, and that's okay.
Yeah, well, that's what everyone does that. But I fucking I think Vampire Diaries and Norton did it. It was like 4 or 5 things in Dinophone saying, "How am I gonna get those in?" But the last one would be like 30 seconds at the end or at the beginning, and maybe maybe there were maybe like 4 of them like a minute long. There's like one massive one. It's like, oh, what? I'm all full. Now my diet's all thrown off now.
Mm-hmm. The other thing is, like, I'm not mocking random tables at all. Like, I've relied on that. The last session I ran, actually, the players were supposed to go into this town, and I was like, great, that's fantastic. I have all the shit planned for the adventure there. And they stopped off somewhere else first. And I was like, shit. So I, like, ad-libbed a whole fucking adventure where they got involved with, like, doing graffiti on a guy's restaurant and shit. And it's like, it worked very good. The players were very happy with the situation. But it's like, if I didn't have random tables, that town would be unpopulated. So that would be really bad. Dear.
Yeah, it was always Wandering Monsters was the one random table I was not really interested in. I was like,
a monster. Who cares? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't need additional fights than the ones I already planned. Which I think is generally that was modern game design ahead of its time, because now everything is like challenge ratings and only so many fights per day.
The challenge rating is fucking bullshit, man. It's so fucking arbitrary as a number, and it really depends on abilities and good or bad rolls, which is like the game. So it doesn't really work that well.
But random battles are everything in the past now. They've been consigned to the dustbin of history. Like, we want to see them on the map at minimum to avoid them.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it for this week. You don't need to hear me talk about all the episodes of Hajime no Ippo I watched, because they didn't come out this week. But after 20 years of people nagging me that I should watch it, I've finally watched it now. It's on Netflix.
Is it good?
Yeah, I should get on that too. Well, if you want to other old things.
If you want to see a child get punched repeatedly in the head, and you go, well, this is entertaining, but I mean, it's a cartoon child, so it's not really. I shouldn't really be worried about CTE, but I'm assuming as it has gone along, the comic is probably now worried about CTE in its characters.
Maybe he should have been wearing headgear. Yeah.
I think he was in this because it was just the first arc where he's sparring. He wants to become a boxer.
Okay.
but he does keep on getting up when he should have stayed down.
Yeah. I gave the Terminator anime a look as well. Just the first one.
Oh, how is it actually? Yeah.
It's certainly Terminator things. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it's quite doing this day. It's like, okay, obviously we're seeing the future machine war. We're seeing like a different year 997. And it's set in Japan, of course. And it's like a Miles Dyson type scientist who's going and he totally works for Cyberdyne. They have a computer. It's like, so he's going over time trying to reason with Skynet. How about you don't annihilate the human race? It's like, I'm afraid I can't do that, Miles Dyson. Like, it's like, oh shit. Well, I tried my best. And I get the impression it feels like he's tried this multiple times to be in different timelines, something like that. So I may do something interesting with that. There's also like the nanny who works under him who this is to be like, a very kind of like demure, kind of like shy lady who's voiced by Sari Hayami, who sounds very like, I hope it won't be a bother. But everyone's going to help her robots, and most people do out in the street, even though it's 997, which is like, again, this could be like a different 997 because of time travel shenanigans. But it's very much like, she's trying to buy something in a shop. It's like, oh, sorry, man, the helper robots can't see you because usually it's central to pick up your right there. Must be on the fritz. So I get the feeling, she's definitely a Terminator. She's a very well-programmed Terminator. She's definitely a Terminator. She's obviously there to guard the kids, and so I'm waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, she's the flesh robot that is going to be revealed, I guess. Yeah,
I suppose. Yeah. I don't know. It's not abominable, but I'll give it a couple and see if it actually goes in interesting.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I saw somebody saying it was something about great Terminator lore. At which point I was like, I don't think I need to see it. I saw someone was enthusing that it was doing great stuff with Terminator lore, and I was like, I think the only two Terminator things I need are the first Terminator. Terminator 2? No, Terminator and Wallace and Gromit, a close shave. Those are the two Terminator things I need.
I'll allow Terminator 1, Terminator 2. I like them both. And you know that arcade one where there's like loads of them coming at you and you have like the gun and it's
the big one, yeah, that's pretty good.
Oh,
yeah.
That gun felt so good to shoot because it had that vibration. Yeah, it's fantastic. That was a good game. It was terrible. I like
bits of Dark Fate because you get to see the Cyber League gets sent back in the future to save girl John Connor. Who's going to be leader now? Just go to town, Terminator with a sledgehammer in a car factory. It's just going whack, just fucking smashing to bits.
That does sound pretty fun.
But for them overall, it was okay for them, but I think But I think it was also good
action year for.
It was just the action was kind of going for again, like there's some lore there, but it's not the most interesting bit. I like to see this. If by lore they mean does have an interesting idea for the Terminator premise, and what probably some kind of time travel malarkey again. But Sengoku Yoku was the one to beat there, so it's doing a very interesting time travel. So
yeah,
this was specific from the past to stop you actually.
I'm trying to remember. Did I ever read RoboCop versus Terminator though?
Well, you could have flicked between two films like really quickly. Let's just run them both. And
channel hopping between them. Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like.
Yes, it's written by Frank Miller, drawn by Walt Simonson.
Wait, good Frank Miller.
I like half of that.
Mad, right?
No, this is Frank Miller around. It ties in with RoboCop 3 stuff. So. No.
Yeah. So yes, that's actually the turning point for when I would also say he started getting bad. Yeah. I mean, like for other reasons as well, but that's not a good movie, is the thing I'm talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember whether I've read this or not. Because May 92, I'd have been in 6 films. So there's a good chance that somebody might have bought it and brought it in, but I would have read it then.
Yeah, it seems like the kind of thing if you present it to me as a child, it's like all my dreams come true. Like friggin', what was it like? Did aliens fight fucking Superman before they fought Wolverine? The more logical fucking thing to fight, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's just like two kid things and toys bashing them off each other. Like it sounds great fun.
Yes.
Why read a comic or bash a toys game? You could play the hit SNES video game.
Yes, that came out a year later. I'm reading the end of this Wikipedia description synopsis. I feel like this seems familiar to me because it's a pretty good joke. And you know what? I'm fine if they make this into a movie.
Okay.
And to be honest,
bound to happen now.
Yeah, I have the Terminators ever tried going further back in time, like to non-modern age periods, i.e., as
they have to at least gone to cowboy times, right? That seems like an obvious fucking one. Like a Terminator with a 6-shooter. Come on.
Yeah, I know. I bet for sure to say it was actually a limit in what, like, in terms of what time travel amount is available once to do that. People who think about so many decades is probably what they're going to say.
Spoiler for the end of a now 32-year-old comic.
You're past. I joked earlier. You're way past the statute of limitations on these things. Spoiler.
The comic ends as the machines attempt to send one last Terminator back in time to kill RoboCop and secure Skynet's future, only for it to overshoot the human era immensely and land in the Mesozoic era, where it is crushed by dinosaurs.
Oh man, yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, that sounds like it could be fun.
It is, and that's the bit which I think I remember. If I remember that, and now I see it again, I was like, yes, I remember that. So I think I may have read this and not given it much thought since I read this.
Maybe this felt like Predator in comics and things kind of had the lock on that because they had like, oh, what if a Predator went back and fought like a Maasai warrior, like, you know, years ago? It's like, oh, I see. That's lots of that where they fought all of history's greatest champions at some stage in the past.
Yes, I'm wondering whether Skynet can't imagine the past. Anyway, yeah, come on, Skynet, book your ideas up. Start sending Terminators to more fun type periods.
They're just trying to kill one fucking guy. It's like, why don't you kill his ancestors? Come on, fucking, like, they might have been assholes. You could easily get them. Like, go to World War II. I'm sure that would fuck shit up or something. I don't know. I guess they don't want to fuck with things too much to make sure they don't get created. But just kill John Connor's fucking family. You'd be grand.
Yeah. That's Terminator talk. We'll be back next week with
more of it, maybe. If I watch any more.
Yes, if you want some more of it. I've not watched One Piece. I suspect it might be good because I saw the thumbnail was various. I saw a thumbnail of various revolutionary people, and that reminded me. Oh yes, it's the big major flashback to what Sabo saw. So yeah, I might stick One Piece on there.
You all do cool things.
Yeah.
Yes, because the plot is forever escalating after this point. Rightio, that's it for now. Ta-ra.
Bye.
See ya.